The mic is working again.
Check, check. Check, check.
So you can go ahead and take a seat. Alright, so feel free to just read off your slides. You'll talk into the mic, use the arrows to adjust. Do you need anything from me?
No.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Alright, everyone, really quickly before we get started for our last day presentations, a reminder that your voices are completely off while presentations are happening. Devices are away. Giving your full attention to the front of the room. Feel free to ask questions at the end, but during, please keep your voices off, or else it will affect your presentation grade. And also, just as a casual reminder, no eating in the library. Alright, so Sam, whenever you're ready, continue away.
So, my project is on the popularity of Franklin County Tech among middle school students. So, what is the problem? The problem is a large amount of students choosing to go to Tech as opposed to continuing high school at Mohawk. A related issue is a general dislike of Mohawk among students going to Tech and students going to Tech without a specified interest in a trade and just out of a dislike of Mohawk, which I discovered from my survey. So how do I reach this problem? I reached this problem because I'm an 8th grader and I have noticed how many students left last year and how many of my classmates plan to go to Tech next year. I've also noticed the dislike of Mohawk among my classmates. Why is this a problem? This is a problem because Tech keeps growing and adding more classes and additions, while Mohawk is shrinking and being forced to cut classes like the shops that we used to have. If Mohawk was able to keep more students, we could add more classes and better our students' learning experience. I think that Mohawk has a lot of potential to be a really good school if it was able to have more students and more funding. Why is this problem relevant to me? I am passionate about this school because I think it is a great school that deserves more credit than many of my classmates give it, and I want more support and funding for it. Getting more funding for the school also directly impacts me as I am a student here. I have also noticed a pessimistic attitude about Mohawk among my classmates that I would like to change. During this year, I've heard a lot of negative comments about Mohawk that I don't personally see or agree with, so I'd like to try to make this school better so students can be as passionate about this school as I am. Background information. What are previous and past solutions to this problem? There used to be shop classes such as wood shop and metal shop at Mohawk that would convince more trade-interested students to stay. What policies currently impact this problem? Tech's recent offering of AP academic classes a few years ago is not helpful to this problem, as it can draw more students to Tech for academics in addition to shops. What obstacles were in the way at the time of prior solutions? The shops were forced to be shut down because of lack of students in them. Many students wanted to do shops but had to choose between taking a shop or an academic class. Another obstacle was the middle school and high school classes not lining up, so the middle school and high school shops had to be separate. If we find a way to overcome schedule problems like these, we have a lot more support for shop classes, helping to convince more students to stay. What scientific information is helpful to know to understand this problem? The Mohawk enrollment data over time from the DESI website is helpful to understand as it shows Mohawk student population trends. As you can see, the average high school grade size has been steadily decreasing. The average middle school grade size is lower than was, but has been increasing since the end of the pandemic. Scientific investigation. Comparative question: when more students leave Mohawk for high school before or after COVID? I just thought this would be interesting to explore. Steps of collecting data: I went on the Jesse website and compiled enrollment data onto graphs. Then I found the difference between each class's enrollment between 8th and 9th grade to find the amount of students who left Mohawk for high school. Then I found the averages of the amount of students leaving for high school before 2020 and after 2020. I found that the average amount of students leaving from 2016 to 2020 was 19 students every year. After 2020, however, the average amount of students leaving has been 25, an increase of 6 students. So the answer is more students have been leaving Mohawk after the pandemic. My claim is that on average more Mohawk students have been going to Tech, leaving Mohawk after COVID. I know this because the average number of students going to Tech from 2015 to 2020 is 19 students, and the average number of Mohawk students going to Tech from 2020 onward is 25 students. This shows that Mohawk students went to Tech after the pandemic because an average of 19 is 6 less students than an average of 25. So for my expert interview, I was looking for someone who is knowledgeable on the school district, school in general, and also shared my passion for the school. So I chose Cheryl Stanton, the superintendent of Mohawk Trail Regional School District. Some takeaways from my interview with the superintendent are that getting more students to plan on going to college could help, like our 8th grade field trip to GCC, as students can get a full general education at Mohawk, then start exploring a trade out of college. This leads me to believe that a lack of students wanting to go to college could be a factor to this problem. Another takeaway was that, as seen in the average middle school grade size compared to average high school grade size graph, Mohawk has been drawing in a lot of students for middle school but hasn't been able to keep students for high school. My last takeaway was that Mohawk's goal is to provide career paths for all students and make sure that they're prepared for life. But a lot of our students are going to Tech, so that shows that as a school we can do better to support trade interests, and this is what I chose for my policy proposal. So my policy proposal is implementing trade-related high school classes and middle school exploratories at Mohawk. This proposal is actionable because Mohawk has had shop classes in the past. It's been done before, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to reintroduce them. The appropriate audience for this policy would be students who are interested in trades and want to be able to learn trades before leaving high school. So to start, the solution would be to find teachers to teach these new classes, reforming the schedules to accommodate for them, and figuring out which shops students would be interested in. Future steps. My policy proposal currently is on the first stage of the solution, with surveys about shop interest being sent out earlier this year, and my survey for this project getting feedback about trade interests. Ways to continue and act on this solution would be to take steps to implement these classes. First, the school would send out more surveys to determine which trades students are interested in, then find teachers to teach the classes. A problem with the previous shops was that students weren't able to fit these classes into their schedules. To fix this, I would propose to change the school's schedules to allow for these classes, such as having 3 semesters instead of 2. As one of the final steps, the school would advertise the new classes to students by hanging flyers around the school or on the school newsletter sent by email every week. I've already started one of these, as I have gotten feedback from my forum on what trade students are interested in. Frequently asked questions. What is Franklin County Tech? Franklin County Tech is a technical high school, meaning that it is a high school that focuses on preparing students for a particular trade or career. Franklin County Tech is a regional school for all of Franklin County, not just our school district. What are Mohawk's choice enrollment trends? So like, the amount of students choicing in to the amount of students choicing out. Mohawk is losing more students to school choice than gaining them, but this gap has been decreasing. But how have other regional schools fared with school choice? Frontier has less students choicing out than Mohawk, even though it is a much larger school. Who pays the money for students to go to Tech? Towns pay money each year to Tech based on how many students from that town attend Tech. How many students planning to go to Tech have or have had family go there? This isn't exactly a frequently asked question, but it's just something I found interesting from my survey. So for my survey, I found that 76% of students going to Tech have or have had family go to Tech, while only 24% don't. So this is the graphs for the Mohawk Trail school choice enrollment trends and Frontier school enrollment trends. So Frontier has about like 40-50 students tracing out, while Mohawk has like 90 to 100 students tracing out. My proposal summary. In summary, my proposal is to implement trade or shop-related high school classes and middle school exploratories at Mohawk to convince more students to like Mohawk and stay here for high school. The future steps of this proposal are to send out more surveys about what trade students are interested in, find teachers to teach the classes, make changes to the school schedules to accommodate for these classes, and advertising these new classes with flyers around the school or on school newsletters. This would not completely fix the problem, as these classes would surely not be as good as the trades at Tech, but I think it would convince some students who are more unsure about going to Tech because leaving your school and community can be difficult. Convincing more students to stay could also help us secure more funding so we can make our existing classes better and make our school better in general. Thank you for your attention. May I answer any questions?
All right, Dylan, if you want to come on up.
Yeah, Dylan, yeah!
One quick reminder, everyone. So while we're in the library, also, this is not your living room. So if we can please keep our feet off the furniture, sitting up. Can we just have one person to a chair? Thank you. All right, Dylan, whenever you are ready, let's take it away.
Oh, look, it's a picture. So this presentation is about elementary education and the problems with it. Oh, yeah. So, what is the problem with elementary education? The problem here is that students aren't really being taught as much with academics fast enough. It's a bit too slow paced, they're learning too slow, and I feel like this is a problem because students could be more successful with their lives and could do much more if they learned more things earlier on instead of later on. And yeah, also going too slow isn't very beneficial. This problem is relevant to me because I think that children could do better with their education if they did more things faster at a younger age. And this reached me when I was in elementary school and realized that once I moved here, I was at a different elementary school with different curriculums and different education there. And the elementary school here is a whole lot less efficient. I learned absolutely nothing there. I just felt like I wouldn't have gotten any difference if I just didn't go there at all. So, what are previous and past solutions to this problem? I haven't found any recent solutions that have been tried. All that I've found is nothing. This hasn't really been much of a big problem to people because this is the normal here. It is not like you can see in other countries it's different, but here this is the normal. So I feel like there hasn't been any solutions that have been tried. What policies currently impact this problem? The law states that curriculum must be put in place. And I feel like curriculums just limit the amount of things that you could do. Like it just doesn't allow kids to do as much as they could. What obstacles were in the way? Well, there haven't been any solutions, so there couldn't be any obstacles. The only obstacle, I guess, could be that it's the normal here. There aren't any changes. So, what scientific information would be helpful? I would like to gather some scientific information about how elementary school here would be compared to a different one from somewhere else with a better curriculum and other things that were different. So the scientific information was, which group of people got a better elementary education in this country? The high school generation or the elementary schoolers? I surveyed what people did during their elementary time and wanted to compare their results with my results that I had. And I couldn't interview elementary schoolers, so I just interviewed my little brother. Scientific findings. I found that American elementary school isn't as efficient as it could be. And I surveyed Mohawk Trail students who all went to American elementary schools and compared the data to my experiences from a different one. And the evidence that supports my claim is that they haven't done as much as they could have done, saying that they had lots of age restrictions and like the way that they learned things was different. They had too much freedom with all their things, too much playtime. Like, things were just going too slow for them. It could have been faster. They could have had less free time, could have spent more of that time on learning things and spending that time knowing those things so that they could understand it all. My policy proposal is that I'd like to propose a policy that allows students in elementary schools to go to, or not go to, but to have a different, let's say, a different schooling system that makes it more efficient for them to learn, saying that people with a younger age can pick up things much faster than people of an older age, saying that learning languages is much easier when you're younger. But many people here haven't gotten a language that haven't learned. They haven't learned a new language while they're here in elementary school. Instead, they played with building blocks and other things, played in the sand. They didn't learn. It was too slow for them. They couldn't do much. So I'd like to take my first steps on start of the school year, to like introduce a new system. And the future steps, I would implement a new system to an elementary school that has teachers teach the young students more things during their time there, instead of spending too much time doing other things that aren't really necessary, like, playing in the sand and other things. The main idea of this new system is to have students learn as much as they can while they're young, so they can pick it up faster, because younger students can learn more things faster. Then, let's say you're 40 years old trying to learn your first language. It's much faster when you're 8 years old, when you're more curious about other things and you can learn more things faster. So, well, I couldn't get an expert, but I was hoping that they were an expert with elementary education and some ways that, like, the 3 things I would like to know is how they teach and what they do to teach and what the children do while they're there. So, frequently asked questions. Why is the schedule different from elementary students and middle and high school? Well, this is the case because elementary school has different focuses than high school, because high school already know all those other things that they learned to elementary school, or what they should have learned. So they take other classes with other things in there, while the elementary school focuses on the basics and what makes a schooling system in this country good. It's accessible. It gives the things that they need, because compared to other countries, it's not very easy to get into school, and it's also not really as good as this one here. But how is this school system ranked in America, or in the world? How is it ranked? It's ranked as an effective one. It's like placing top 10, I guess. But it's mostly due to accessibility and how many people graduate and become successful, but not really how effective it is. It just shows how many people actually move on. Because if you compare to other countries with their education, some don't have any, some aren't as good, and it's not really easy to get in there in like other countries. And how is this schooling system compared to other countries' schooling system? This country, there's like most of these public schools here, they all have their own curriculum with lots of different things that they do each time. It's all different. But like, if you go to a different country, they could probably have a specific curriculum for each school, so that each school gets their own thing. While here in this country, they have every single school do completely different things, which could limit the amount of things that students could do. Say that they go to a different spot, and they realize how much harder it is there, or how much easier it is there, because there's too much variety here, while in other countries there could be more similarity with other things that they do once they go to a different place. My proposal summary is to make a new schooling system that is more efficient for students and that allows kids to learn more things faster instead of spending too much time and wasting it while they could learn. Like, you crawl before you walk and you walk before you run. What elementary school does is supposed to teach you how to go from crawling to walking. Instead, it just teaches you how to crawl better. The only other thing you do when you crawl is turn. Once you learn how to turn, you have to go to walking, but it just makes you learn how to crawl better as if you already didn't know how to crawl. You have to move on while you can. Once you get it down, you learn it, you get it down, move on. What elementary school does, it goes too slow and just stays back down there while all the kids are crawling and they're 6th graders. And then they go to middle school where you're supposed to already know how to walk, but you don't know how. So, thank you for your attention. May I ask you any questions? I'm sorry, but that's not a question. That's a clap. That's not a question. No booze. That's mean.
Dylan, are you trying to get rid of nap time?
Yes, nap time is not good.
No!
Yes, I forgot to move that.
Nap time was great.
All right, Taylor. Got it. So yeah, you'll speak. You don't need to be like into the microphone, but just towards it. Use the arrows.
Okay, just that one.
Yeah, and then if you need to go back, it'll be that arrow.
Okay.
All right, everyone, voices off, please. And Taylor, whenever you're ready.
I'm Taylor, and my project is on lowering vet bills. The problem is that the cost of vet bills have been increasing, and some people are struggling to afford to have pets and be able to cover the cost of vet bills. The cost of vet bills have gone up 10% in the past year because supplies, medical equipment, and new technologies have become more expensive, which has increased the cost of vet bills. This is a problem because some people are going in debt because they can't afford them. This problem is relevant to me because I have interest in working in a vet hospital, and I took this opportunity to learn more about the aspects of vet hospitals. Previous and past solutions to the cost of vet bills have been to find organizations that help you cover the cost, have pet insurance, and there are some vet clinics that care for your animals for free. Policies of the cost of vet bills have been the amount of staff, the amount the staff gets paid, the cost of supplies they need for the animals, the veterinarian profit, pet insurance, and care credit. Some obstacles of making solutions to reducing the cost of vet bills have been that pet insurance can be expensive. Also, COVID-19 interfered with vet clinics, and some of them had to close down temporarily. Almost 1/3 of Americans that have pets can't afford their vet care. 1/4 of animals end up in shelters because their owners abandoned them. According to the Humane Society, between 7% and 20% of pets are returned within the first 6 months. 7.2% of pets are given back to shelters because their owners can't afford them. The first step I took to my scientific investigation was finding background information and researching. Then I talked to the girl that deals with finance at a vet hospital to find out more information about the aspects of vet bills. My comparative question was, how do people pay for their vet bills and what options do they have? Pet owners go about paying for the vet bills differently. Some people pay for them by borrowing money from others or have care credit. Some have pet insurance, and some people have to decline treatments for the animal because they can't afford them. And I have a thing showing that. My scientific findings claim was lowering the cost of vet bills can keep more animals healthy and up to date with their medications/shots and make the bills more affordable for pet owners. Evidence of that is some animals don't get all the supplies and care they need to be completely healthy because their owners can't pay for it, or sometimes the owners need help covering the costs from others, or they have care credit or insurance to pay for it. Reasoning is the cost of vet bills were not as expensive. If the cost of vet bills were not as expensive, pet owners would be able to pay for the bill without having to borrow money from others or decline treatment. That way their pet could get the proper care they need to be healthy. My expert was Amanda, who works at Trailside Vet Office. In my interview, I was looking for someone kind, respectful, informational, and understanding of my questions. My expert worked at a vet office and she did the finance there, which helped me a lot with getting to know more about the cost of supplies and what state funding can do to help lower the cost of vet bills and have a better understanding of pet insurance. 3 key takeaways from my interview with my expert was she gave me useful information about how finance is at a vet office. She gave me information about how some animals don't get the proper care they need because some owners can't afford it. She also gave me ideas about the next steps I can take for my proposal and ideas for reasoning behind my proposal. My policy proposal, the policy proposal I have is to get the state to fund vet hospitals yearly for the cost of their supplies/medications, so they don't have to charge the pet owners as much for the supplies that are being used with what the animals need. This proposal is actionable by contacting vet hospitals to find out more information about how much funding they need and what could help them, and get in contact with a state representative to find out what the state can do to fund them for the cost of the supplies they need. The appropriate audience for this proposal would be the federal government because they deal with the finance, and vet hospitals to see what supplies and medications the state could help cover to lower the cost of the bills. Steps to get started with this proposal would be to get in contact with vet hospitals and find out how much funding can help them and find out what supplies are needed and how much they cost. Future steps, I have talked to someone that deals with finance at a vet to help to get a better idea of the money aspect of things in vet hospitals. The next steps I could take to continue this work would be to contact vet hospitals to find out the cost of supplies they really need and find out what amount of money would help them pay for the supplies they need to lower the cost of vet bills, and then contact the state representative to propose that funding could help lower the cost of bills, which would make having pets more affordable for people who want them or have them. Frequently asked questions. What makes vet bills expensive? Vet bills can be expensive because the cost of supplies they need for your animals are getting more expensive, which is making the cost of them more expensive. Also, how much they need to pay the workers. What aspects go into vet bills? The aspects that go into vet bills are the supplies and medications, the amount they pay the workers, and the technology that they use on your pet. How does the cost of vet bills vary from the different weights of animals and why? The cost of vet bills vary because it depends on the amount of medication or supplies they use on the animal. So if it's a bigger animal, they will need more medication or supplies, so it will cost more. But if it's a smaller animal that weighs less, the amount of medication or supplies they will use will be less, so it won't cost as much. How do people handle with the costs? Owners handle with the cost of vet bills in many different ways. Some use care credit or have funding, borrow money from people, have insurance, or they have to decline treatment their pet may need. What is the cost of normal visits to the vet? The cost of normal checkups for pets can vary from $50 to $250 depending on what shots or supplies are being used and the kind/weight of the animal. How much does pet insurance cost? The cost of pet insurance usually varies between $30 to $50 per month, although sometimes it can be as low as $9 a month or even reach $90 a month, depending on the animal and the insurance plan you have. How much does an emergency visit cost on average? The cost of an emergency visit can vary between $150 to $1,200, depending on the problem and the care/supplies your animal may need. How much does pet insurance cover? Pet insurance can cover anywhere from 70 to 90% of the vet bill. My proposal summary is that vet bills can be very expensive and some people struggle to pay for the bills and don't get all the supplies their animals may need because they can't afford them. My proposal is to get funding from states to help cover the cost of some of the necessities that vet hospitals need to lower the cost of bills, so that all animals are healthy and they have all the shots/medication and supplies they need to be healthy. Thank you for listening. May I answer any questions?
Alright, so we have about 4 minutes. So we have about 4 minutes until class is over. So just take time. Be respectful of the space, please.
No, like I'm not even joking. I was in your direction. I see. You staring at me. Just. Oh no. Like, stop right
I can't stand. Yeah, that's not cuddle and
My fingers are better. Don't call me. I'm gonna get 7. No.
The reps are Emma, Izzy, Anya. No, Emma, Izzy, Zach. I'm on my way down. Oh, do we need to add I haven't had a chance. I don't know if I'm gonna know if my please go about her day the way she should deserve it to be going, and I'll check it. Alright, I'm gonna put this in my room on the way. I don't think I'm gonna announce this until Friday.
way more for me.
Oh. I don't know.
These
I
ones,
want it to be comfortable, but it's
right?
just not
It's like
speaking to me in that way.
no, these these chairs are wonderful.
Yep. It feels like I'm being pulled by like a baseball glove. Right?
It does.
Like,
And it has that same kind of like scope too. Like,
yeah.
And, all these mosaics that they're making are really fun.
Are they like in the hallway?
Yeah. But like look at them all, like the chicken. Look at that. I know. I kind of want to like work on some, but I can't. When are we talking to Mr. Masqueradus?
Is that something you really want to do? You're not gonna feel like that?
I know, right? Like literally everything works so good.
Oh my gosh, you're so good.
Oh yeah, if you come over here, you can like see like the whole like sea.
So what's the concept? Is it like ocean and land?
I think it's just like animals, like different shapes and. You know, I kind of want to take like when there's nobody out there, like just take a walk from that way to that way, just to like see, because there might be some like right here. I have no idea. Yeah, this is like what they've been doing all the classes. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
Huh? They're private. No, they are. Very well paid.
And the best thing is that the guy like brought and cut all the shapes, like he like does it all. No, I know that. No, I'd rather do field day. Yeah. But no, I mean, like those things that they're doing out there, what was I saying? I mean, you can always take us out, like, take like a little group out for like 10 minutes during exploratory, because that's when they're doing it also.
Okay. Maybe. Oh, we don't have some. Hold on, I need to find the file. What's today? The 14th early release. Why does it say it's not an early release? On what? Generic.
Actually scheduled?
Yeah.
Oh. That is good. What?
Okay. Hello.
How's the puppy?
Puppy's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only woke up once last night, which was exciting. It wasn't my turn.
Willis. Miss Willis. Can I go to the bathroom real quick?
Emotional support. So service is a much more regimented training routine, which is why I'm not really I don't have that. Yeah. But emotional support is a program
Oh, wait, it's a circle. That circle. The circle thing. I wrote the circle thing. You guys, for us to start like charging you guys. She's gonna break up with you because you're not trying to actually do that. Ooh, Brody! Yeah, I hope you
You will never. Yeah, why did you remember that? And it's spelling. It's so convenient. As you don't know how to spell that wrong.
Because it was spelled wrong.
I know, he goes.
Why did you do that? Why couldn't you guys just turn off the conversation? No one like falling off.
Just ask. I don't know.
I got 10 grams.
I want to be doing that.
Bring your girl. There's like plenty of
It's not facing that.
Wait, now you guys get that warmer.
That you guys can do.
Yeah, but it's really, really hot. Okay. No. No. How about whoever wins gets a penny? Okay. One. What the hell is that? It's my penny I was thinking about doing 1.5 Did you know that if you break you only need more than 54 packs, and they'll give you new
Connor, you're off. Connor, you're off.
Yeah, so I gotta hit it with the I cannot move it anymore.
I don't have it.
You got hit her with the
Oh my god! She's really not cool.
Yeah, for standing behind a little kid and watching her ass. Alright, everyone, so before we get started, I'm going to actually lie. Just a couple announcements. So keeping in mind, this is the library, it is not your living room, so please make sure you're sitting up, your feet are not on the furniture, you're being respectful of the space. There's also no eating at all in the library. Alright? Also, while presentations are happening, I need all devices away, so phones, Chromebooks, headphones, all that stuff away. And please be mindful, so voices should be completely off during presentations. You can ask questions at the end if you have them, but during presentations, I need absolute silence from the audience. Not doing so will affect your own presentation. Please put your phone away.
Hold on, about to hit a bomb.
You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds to hit a bomb.
Alright, Jen and Sage, you guys are first up.
Yeah, so you'll just talk towards the microphone. You'll use the arrows to change the slides. Don't worry about it. You can just look down at the Chromebook the whole time. It's okay. Alright? Don't worry about it. You can do it. Alright. So, whenever you guys are ready, you can just
Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Sage.
And we're doing how school system affects mental health. The problem is that for a while, school has affected mental health in a negative way. We reached this problem through personal experience and some on social media. We think that mental health is very important and should be considered more in school because it affects students daily and affects how they learn. Previous solutions to this problem is having students talk to counselors in the school. An obstacle in the way of this prior solution is consent from parents, because parents would have to give consent for a student to talk to someone, and some parents are unwilling to do so.
Scientific information that is helpful to understand our problem is how school causes depression and anxiety, which affects the students' mental health. We made a survey and asked if students felt like school was draining them. 46.2% of students said that school always felt draining to them. 46.2% said sometimes, and 7.7% said most of the time. Not a single student who took the survey said never.
We wanted to talk to an expert who has a good understanding of mental health and of our school system, so we decided to talk to one of the school counselors and student services. Some of the information we collected was school causes lack of sleep, which causes low energy and tiredness throughout the day. Socializing/forcing students to do something in front of the class is a main cause of making school more difficult to teenagers with anxiety. Classwork adding up because of all the work not being spread out evenly, and teachers don't treat all students equally. Our policy to solve this problem currently is to try and change the guidelines that are followed surrounding students' mental health, like calling parents. We could change this by talking to the student before doing anything without the student's consent, or offering some mental health programs instead.
The appropriate audience for this proposal is teenagers that go to school. That the steps we did to start were gathering data from our survey. Right now our proposal is just a thought, but if we were to continue our proposal, we would probably find someone that can help us find someone else to propose this change to.
Frequently asked questions. Why does school cause bad mental health? School can cause bad mental health if the student is already struggling outside of school. Another reason is that if the student has a lot of work that's not complete and doesn't get the help they need, it can be very hard and frustrating to do.
How does school affect mental health in a bad way? School can affect teenagers' mental health because it can make the student have stress and anxiety from things like unbalanced schoolwork and other policies.
How can teachers put an effect on this? Teachers often misunderstand students' needs, and that can have a bad effect on the students with bad mental health.
Our proposal is to change the way mental health is dealt with at school because the way it has been and is still dealt with has been ineffective. We collected data from our survey, and our data prove that school makes students' mental health worse than usual.
School makes the students' mental health worse because it causes stress, anxiety, depression, etc. One reason we say this is because when we surveyed the students, 12 out of 13 students said that school makes their mental health worse, and 13 out of 13 students said that school drains them. That shows that school does affect mental health in a bad way. Thanks for listening. Any questions?
I didn't explain it. What did you get? I got a 75. You can get her. Yeah, she's I'm afraid of job.
Only our call.
He's not afraid of me. I'm just afraid of falling on Alex. Why did I say that?
What did I do?
Oh, you never had a tree fall on you. Never straight back.
Come on up.
Yeah, I'll move it over. I'll just say. But yeah, so you can move it wherever you need to. But so you'll talk kind of into the microphone and then use the arrows. Do it. Does need anything else? Thanks. Good. You ready? I'm trying to be. Woo!
I got it. All right, everyone. So can I have voices up, please? Conversations over. Devices away. And let me pause the screen.
All right. So whenever you're ready, you can get started.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. And I'm Kayla. And our 8th grade civics project is Solar on Sanderson. Wait, what? This is the wrong presentation. I think this is the old version.
It's on Katie's. I think I pulled up the wrong one. My mistake.
Sorry.
No, my apologies. Yeah, I think I pulled up the one of Kayla's.
Should be on mine.
There we go.
That's right.
Sorry about that. All right.
All right, everyone. False alarm. Now we're starting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay, So our civics project is about solar on Sanderson. What is the problem? Our problem is the harm made by the use of fossil fuels as energy sources. This problem is significant because natural gases and many other energy sources harm the environment and contribute to climate change. This problem is relevant to us because protecting the environment and doing what we can about climate change is important to us, as it affects everyone on Earth as climate change progresses. We decided on this topic because it is important to us, and doing something to help it could impact our community in a positive way.
Background information. A past solution to this problem is that our school, MTRSD, installed solar panels pretty recently. A policy that is impacting our problem currently is the Willow Project. It's a major policy that is impacting our problem currently because it will harm the environment in Alaska by drilling oil, which will negatively contribute to climate change. Some obstacles for putting solar panels on Mohawk are that it took a long time to get the solar panels approved and agreed upon by everyone in the building, on the building committee, that made the decision of whether to get solar panels or not. Mohawk's roof also had to be inspected to get approved to have solar panels put on. This is because the company has to make sure the roof will be safe to build on and can hold the weight of the solar panels. To understand our problem, it is helpful to understand how fossil fuels relate to climate change by releasing large amounts of CO2 and what it does to worsen climate change.
Our policy proposal is to add solar panels to the roof of Sanderson Academy Elementary School in Ashfield. This proposal is actionable because solar panels have already been put on Mohawk, so we already know the process that the school would have to go through, and this process definitely seems possible and reasonable. Our steps to start the proposal are that we have contacted Select Energy, the company that put solar panels in Mohawk, and learned about the process of solar panels on a school. In this process of getting solar panels on Sanderson, we start with getting the Sanderson roof checked to make sure it is safe and stable enough to put solar panels on. The appropriate audience for our proposal would be the students who attend Sanderson currently, as well as the teachers and staff, since this would affect them because they spend their whole day at Sanderson. Another appropriate audience would be the Mohawk Trail District's Building Subcommittee, since they would be involved in the logistical process of getting solar panels to be put on Sanderson. They did this with Mohawk also.
Okay, our expert interview, Andrea's. Okay. We were looking for an expert who is knowledgeable about our topic, helpful and willing to provide us with the answers to our question. Solar energy is the expertise of our expert Andreas, because he works at Select Energy, a solar company. 3 takeaways. One takeaway is that the biggest benefit about solar panels is how much carbon it saves from being used, as well as having significantly smaller electric bill. Another takeaway is how the whole process of getting solar panels can take as short as only a few months, but it can also take as long as a few years if there are challenges. The last takeaway was that solar panels can power things in a house like heating, cooling, lights, or even charge an electric car. You can also get batteries for them so that if your power goes out, you can use the batteries to power these appliances.
Our comparative question for the scientific findings was, what benefits would put solar panels on Mohawk cause? We collected our data through researching online and interviewing our expert, and the answer we came upon was solar panels are very environmentally friendly and release almost no carbon emissions, as this graph shows. Another huge benefit is saving a lot of money that used to be spent on electric bills. This chart shows the amount of carbon dioxide emissions by the different kinds of energy sources. This chart also proves how solar energy sources produces much less carbon dioxide than other energy sources like coal or natural gas.
Our claim, adding solar panels to Sanderson Academy come with many benefits. Evidence. One benefit of adding solar panels to Sanderson would be the much smaller carbon footprint due to the solar renewable energy. Another would be saved money on electricity, and lastly, being able to power important appliances with solar energy when the power goes out by using a solar battery. Reasoning. These things all argue how solar panels could be a great addition to Sanderson Academy, and that they can be a great choice of an energy source.
Current and future steps. Currently, we are in the early stages of getting to the point of having solar panels installed on the Sanderson roof. The next steps we plan on taking in this project are to bring it up on the agenda at one of the Mohawk Building Subcommittee meetings, because this is the committee that made solar panels on Mohawk happen, along with Select Energy, and would probably do the same with Sanderson.
Our proposal summary. As previously mentioned, our topic proposal is to go through the process of adding solar panels to the roof of Sanderson Academy, the elementary school in Ashfield, which Katie and I both previously attended. This would involve the actions of the Mohawk Building Subcommittee and the solar panels company Select Energy, which is the company that put solar panels on our school, Mohawk Trail School, last year.
Some frequently asked questions. How long does it take to go through the process of getting solar panels? Getting solar panels can take between 6 months and a couple of years from start to finish due to problems like backups and materials that can happen. Will the school still have an electric bill with solar panels? Yes, you may have to pay about 50% the amount you would before, but the electric bill will drastically decrease with solar panels. Can solar panels power air conditioning or heating sources? Absolutely. When you have solar panels on your building, the energy goes straight to the house or school to power air conditioning, heat, etc. Can solar power be stored? Solar power can be stored in batteries for times in energy shortage, like a power outage, to run important and necessary things like refrigerator, heating, or lights. How do solar panels work at night? No solar energy will be stored if there is no solar energy or sunlight coming to the panels, like at nighttime or when there's snow on the solar panels.
How would the school afford solar panels? They would afford it through a purchase agreement. Instead of the school buying and owning the solar panels, the company that installs them own the panels and discounts them to make it affordable for the school, while this agreement benefits both the school and the company. How long do solar panels last before having to be replaced? What maintenance do they need? 25 to 30 years depending on the type of panels. The panels don't really need maintenance. Though throughout the years, the panels lose the power that they can collect. Like after 20 years, they could only collect around 90%. Also, every year they check the wires and parts of the panels. Would the school lose or save money? The school could save around 50 to 70% of money of electric bill depending on the size of the school. Sanderson would probably save around 50. Are there any benefits? Solar panels are environmentally friendly because they don't have any carbon emissions, and solar energy is renewable and saves thousands of tons of CO2 over 20 plus years of being used, while saving money from your electric bill, as mentioned before. Are there cons to having solar panels? Solar panels can be expensive to install and have high upfront costs. And some people don't like the look of them, but there aren't too many cons.
Thank you everyone for your attention. Does anyone have any questions?
It's really not.
All right, ready? This is gonna be super hard. Honestly, you just need to look at the Chromebook the whole time and don't even look up.
You told me to delete 3 slides, and I feel like I'm missing so much information.
You're fine. Don't worry. Just read what you have. Like I said, you don't even have to look up. It won't affect your grade at all. Just read what you have. Just talk towards the microphone, and then yeah, you'll use the arrows to change it. But yeah, like I said, if it makes you feel better to just look at the Chromebook, don't look at anyone else. That will not affect your grade at all. So don't worry.
Okay.
You got this.
All right, everyone, voices up, please. And Ash, whenever you're ready, you can get going. Luke.
So my thing is about LGBTQ kids and teens who need a healthy environment, mostly school or home-wise. The problem: kids and teens who do not have a healthy environment, home, school, etc. How did you reach this problem? Because me and a lot of my friends are experiencing it. Why is this a problem? It can make kids feel alone, unheard, unwanted, even grown into a very deep depression, especially when it's their own home and guardians that do not support and don't treat them the same afterwards. Why is this problem relevant to me? Because it's something that is happening to me and some friends that I know. Background information. What are previous and past solutions to this problem? Making apps and websites to make the kids and teens not feel so alone. What policies currently impact this problem? Helpful or not helpful? Not helpful is homophobic guardians, grandparents, etc. People not caring, not taking interest into safety-wise. Okay. People never saw the websites that were handed out, nor did people take it seriously and truly cared. They only thought about their situations and never saw how the person in trouble felt or is feeling. What scientific information is helpful to know to understand this problem? What is really going on? Hearing out the child, teens, even every word, making sure to let them know you're truly listening, and that if something is hard to see, to tell them to explain it a little more. Scientific investigation. Comparative questions. What ways could schools better support the person in trouble and home problems? Steps of collecting data. I will be asking people who have gone through this, putting out surveys and looking on websites. The answer to the comparative question. They can make it clubs kids can join, almost like a therapist, counselor group, to make the kids and teens feel like they have a safe place to open up and talk and come out without worrying about being bullied or harassed and having the fear of their parents finding out. Claim. Helping kids who don't have a healthy school and home environment and are struggling with getting help. Evidence. It is a tie from people saying that they do or do not have a healthy home supporting environment, but it does show that a lot of kids do not have a healthy supportive family. Reasoning. Because so many kids are also becoming so depressed and to points feel so alone and miserable that if their own parents don't show it can cause very downfalls at times. Proposal summary. So in the quote, this is what my whole project is about: LGBTQ kids, teens who don't feel supported at home or at school. When kids and teens don't have the right support, home or school, it can make them feel really alone, unwanted, unheard, out of place, to name a few. And that's my presentation.
All right, so we have about 9 minutes left of class, so you can go ahead and hang out. Be respectful of the space, please. But very nice job, everybody.
She probably laughed, Miss Brown. Or you punch her back. And then I was gonna do Mr. P job, but I didn't have to.
The shoulder blade.
The shoulder blades. But you can actually feel them. They actually. No, Connor. I don't even know what my background is. No, actually, I don't want to change it. Sit up really straight. No, I swear to God. He's just more bony. No, give him gravity. Yeah, give him gravity. What? I didn't. Alex tried to make Connor do it. Whoa. He's gonna take that spot, Spat on my underarm. I think
Which one? I'm not
Speak one on your
What? Taking notes? What are the notes, Dakota? I want to know. What kind of notes?
I'm dying. Yeah, you know what you can do. When did I ever say that? I don't want a daughter. I don't want a daughter or Laura. All I want, I'm all in extra cheese. CPR in like 0.1 seconds. That's a good thing.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's awful.
You were just like his hands were just on your face.
Okay, here's each other's face, like our whole body.
Oh, is that why she's asking? I've never gone. I've only been there once.
I don't want to show you now.
Oh, right. This outbreaker. Hey, my personal bubble. Oh my god.
Best romance. You are. That sounds like it hurt.
I might have heyday. Yeah, I have heyday. I have but I can't.
It's like sitting there.
Yeah. Guys, sit up, so I just have it there.
Standing.
It's his fucking idea. It's not me. It's not me.
Brody just over there on his phone.
My ear.
He says it to me all the time.
So next period, so if you have science or social studies next period, you'll still be in here, but period 2 will be back to normal. So if you have social studies or science period 2, you're going to go to your classroom as normal. Okay?
Yeah.
That's
even better. I'd honestly rather write that thing than the test.
I'm just kidding. Get out of here, you dinosaur. You long neck.
I'm a little
The lack of laborers to drive trucks and help milk cows, because farmers do not make a lot of money, so people that work on dairies do not make a lot of money, and there is not many people that want to work outside. Why is fertilizer so expensive? Because it's expensive because for fertilizer companies to truck fertilizer and make fertilizer. Do animal owners take good care of their animals? Yes, because their animals are the only way to make money. Is there a shortage in Franklin County? Yes. Just in the past 6 years, Franklin County has lost, I don't know how many. I'm trying to end dairy farm shortages in Franklin County so that there is more dairy farms that maybe a school wants to take a field trip to farm to teach kids the importance of farms. It would be easier for them to find a farm to visit. Also, dairy farms like mine have been in families close to 100 years. Thank you for your attention. May I answer any questions? Don't raise me.
Great. So we're gonna do our next one in about 5. Okay. Yes. And then I have cards. I have mine. She's really famous. Because I don't want to read urgent words. And then I'm not going to. Maybe I won't. Did you get scientific? Very scientific. Like scientific. Can I have just no, like if you can do it, look at that TV. Well, actually, one of the sides where you can actually see yourself. Can you see yourself? What is that used to? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. You guys are all really funny. I thought it was funny because it was you. But yeah, hi, Miss Rance. Guess what? Miss Rance, guess what? I said my speech. You did? Yeah. It went amazing. And Connor said a lot of nice things. And then had to apologize. Yeah, he had to apologize in front of the entire class. Yeah, it was really funny. Alright, Dennis. Yeah, like I said, I'm really scared.
It's okay. You're gonna do great. Oh, can they hear me? Yeah. That's okay. I don't care. Go on the other one. I don't want to sit over there. All right. So you'll just talk towards the microphone. Feel free to just read off your slides. Okay. If need be. It won't affect your grade at all. Okay. And then you'll just use the arrows to flip through.
Okay.
You ready?
No.
Oh, it's loud. You got this.
Oh, it is loud. It's on, right?
Yeah. All right. So whenever you're ready, you can get started.
Okay.
All right, everyone, voices off, please.
Okay. How social media affects mental health by me. The problem. Social media is negatively affecting kids' mental health. This was reached by the population growth with kids being on social media at such a young age. This is a problem because people are starting to get exposed to social media at such a young age, and it is greatly contributing to mental illnesses in kids. This problem is relevant for me because I have seen many people in my community and in my school and in my community struggle with this problem, and I want to know more about this topic and know about ways to prevent this problem. I kind of want my note cards. Okay. Solutions in the past to prevent mental illnesses due to social media have been to block, unfollow, or remove any person, page, or site that has consistently made you feel bad. Social media platforms have been designed to be addictive, but research shows that social media can lead to depression, sleeping disorders, and even suicidal thoughts and actions. Multiple studies have shown a strong link with social media and an increase in depression, anxiety, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts. Social media also promotes unrealistic lifestyles and appearances that lead to body dissatisfaction and low self-esteem. When people see what people are doing by things they post, it can cause FOMO, fear of missing out, and feelings of isolation and inadequacy. Scientific investigation. My comparative question was, which social media platform affects mental health the most? TikTok, Instagram, or Snapchat? To collect data, I made a survey and sent it out to students. You can see like my pie chart and whatever you want to call that. According to my research, I did Instagram was the answer, like from all of it, but then in my survey, none of them were the answer. It was other, but Snapchat was then the second, like, most popular answer. Okay. Social media has many negative effects on students' mental health. Social media increases levels of depression, anxiety, and stress in students. Social media also contributes to social anxiety because kids are so used to connecting with people online, it makes it more difficult to do so in person. After doing research on this topic, I found that 32 out of 47, 68.1%, have gotten upset from seeing something on social media, things like unwanted images and videos and discrimination. 18 out of 47 people, 38.3%, claim to spend more than 3 hours on social media every day. This evidence supports my claim because when people constantly see upsetting things on social media, it causes higher levels of depression, anxiety, and stress in students. Also, being on social media for such a long time daily makes it harder for people to interact and communicate in person, also known as social anxiety. Okay, for my extra interview, I chose to interview Mark Biagini. I chose him as my expert because he is a school counselor and has students see him with issues related to social media and mental health. He also just sees situations like this throughout the day. I asked him, do you think social media affects students' levels of stress in school? He said, I do. The pandemic changed the way we connect with the world. It's difficult to put devices down, meaning like stressing about not answering people on time and missing whatever's going on social media. I also asked, do you believe social media lowers students' self-esteem and confidence? He said, social media is our best self, and that is us probably 2% of the time. My life doesn't look like a movie kind of mindset. Even though part of our brain knows this, we're not thinking about this as we scroll and flick through posts. I asked, do you think social media has negative impacts on students' ability to learn? He said there are drawbacks, pros and cons, using it as a resource to learn how to do something, but then you go to check to see who liked your post and you get behind on your work. Okay, for my policy proposal, I propose to add a mandatory class for 7th graders to learn about the dangers of social media, such as cyberbullying, digital footprint, and how social media isn't real life. I can contribute to this happening by sharing this idea with Mr. Buckland and maybe making a PowerPoint presentation. That's what that little P is. The appropriate audience is for 7th graders and Mr. Buckland. To start my proposal, I need to share my idea with Mr. Buckland and possibly make a PowerPoint presentation. For future steps, my proposal is currently at the point of sharing it with Mr. Buckland. To continue this, I need to do research on necessary topics that need to be taught in the class, give convincing reasons why we need this class convince Mr. Buckland to go through with this proposal and figure out someone to teach the class. Frequently asked questions. What is the main problem with social media? Cyberbullying, more social anxiety, depression, and early exposure to things that aren't age appropriate. How does social media cause social anxiety? With social media, it's a different way of communication, an easier way. People get so used to talking through a screen, they forget how to talk in person. How does social media affect self-esteem and confidence? The more time people spend on social media, the more they compare themselves to others, and that lowers people's self-esteem and confidence. Are there ways social media positively contributes to mental health? Being socially connected to others online can reduce stress, depression, and anxiety. It can also sometimes boost self-worth and prevent loneliness. What percentage of people have gotten a mental illness due to social media? 6 in 10 Americans say that social media negatively impacts their mental health and well-being. Proposal summary. What you should have learned from that. What negative effects social media has on mental health: depression, social anxiety, increase in suicide rates, fear of missing out, and more. What social media platforms affect mental health the most: Instagram, because lower self-esteem and confidence and dissatisfaction with personal appearance. People's opinions and thoughts on this idea. Most have said social media does contribute to mental health. And what needs to be changed, added to make a difference: a mandatory lesson for 7th graders to take on digital footprint, cyberbullying, and social media itself. And yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, friend. Come on. Whoa, I almost hit that over.
It wasn't on internet.
I don't know, I think it does.
He doesn't even level it up, he just keeps on opening. Yeah.
It started at 15. It's supposed to be.
Alright, ready?
So fancy back here. I know. Alright, so you'll just speak towards the microphone. You don't need to like lean in directly to it. It picks it up pretty well. You'll just use the arrows to click through. You good to go?
Yep.
And yeah, and feel free to just read right off your slides. You're totally fine.
Alright, everyone, voices off, please. Voices off. Faces front, devices away.
My studies project is on peer tutoring, and it's created and presented by me. What is the problem? The problem is a lack of good grades, students feeling as if there's no way for them to get help understand classwork, and meeting hours that don't work for students.
How did I reach this problem? I have watched many students struggle with their academics, and I think there's also a lack of extra help from the school system. Why is this a problem? Not having a way to have one-on-one help can affect how hard students try at school. Peer tutoring could add another option for students to choose from. Why is this problem relevant to me? I could participate in the program as a tutor, and I am also a part of this community and can help make it better by including the people that need extra help. Background information. Previous solutions were a few people have organized small meetings during activity time, but they received minimal success. There are no current policies on this topic, and students haven't been able to meet because of their school schedules and differing times. And statistics, 22 people answered the survey that I sent out. Scientific investigation. Are there more students on honor roll or failing their classes? Answer to comparative question. There are more students on honor roll than failing. I sent out a survey and gathered the data, and the majority said that they had an A for their average grade, which was 63.6%, and about 31% said they had a grade lower than an A. Claim evidence reasoning. Peer tutoring needs to be implemented into our school system to help the student body and community as a whole. A little less than half students surveyed answered that they had an average grade below an A. And 72.7% of students also said that they would be interested in or want to be a tutor. Reasoning. Both pieces of evidence support the claim that we need a peer tutoring program. The fact that almost half the students that answered said that they have an average grade lower than an A is enough for me to want to go further with a peer tutoring program for our school. Expert interview. I interviewed Montserrat Archibald and she's a peer tutoring staff assistant and secretary at GCC. When I was looking for my expert, I wanted someone that overlooked the entirety of the idea instead of just one part. I wanted someone that is experienced in their field and someone that knew the history behind their field. Montserrat was certified to teach an high school English class, and as staff assistant, she gathers a lot of the data about the program. 3 key takeaways. 1. Working with students as tutors is less intimidating for the students being tutored. 2. Weekly meetings, reflections, and all tutors being trained together instead of separately has helped the outcome of the peer tutoring program. And 3. Peer tutoring keeps the community connected and keeps students engaged. My policy proposal. What policy do I propose? I propose that we add a peer tutoring program to the Mohawk Trail High School. How is this proposal actionable? This proposal is actionable because it would be used every day by students. And who's my audience? My ideal audience consists of staff and students. The next steps for this idea would be to find out when it would be possible to put it into effect and find out the other specifics of the idea. Future steps. Currently, I have found out the necessary data to know what the majority of students want in a peer tutoring program. I know that my next step would be to meet with the principal about putting this into effect and possibly taking it to the school board. In the future, I'm planning on meeting with Ms. Willis about a place for students to tutor others, as well as times that work with the students' school schedule and students and library hours. I'll also create a team of tutors. Frequently asked questions. Do you need to have a passing grade to be a tutor? Yes, you do. You need to have an average grade of all B's and up. Where would tutoring take place? I don't have a set space yet. I'm hoping that they can happen somewhere in the library. What would a tutor get in return for tutoring? I was thinking about credits toward graduation or free things from the coffee shop if possible, but there were plenty of other ideas from the people surveyed. How old do you have to be? You need to be a high school student to tutor. Why should I be a tutor? You should think about being a tutor because it can look good on college application and you can get things in return. Proposal summary. I propose a change in our school that provides peer tutoring for students that need help in a class. Students would be able to study with another student, making it more comfortable and easier for them to learn. After a survey was sent out, 72.7% of students said that they would want to or think about being a tutor in the program. In the future, I would be able to talk to Mr. Buckland and Ms. Willis about steps for the future of this policy and how we can make it a reality for our school, including meeting with students individually and lots of research as well as planning. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
All right, so that is all of our presentations for the year. Congratulations, you guys.